Lots of us are walking around with trust issues. It's pretty normal. We've been burned in the past, and so that affects how we trust in our future relationships, but it can really get in the way of intimacy. So I want to offer a new way of thinking about it so you may be able to unlock some of these trust issues. I'm Stacy Rocklein, and I'm on a mission to eradicate loneliness. And trust is a really big component of not feeling lonely. Because when we can't trust, we keep ourselves guarded. And if we keep ourselves guarded, then we cannot be vulnerable enough to create an emotional connection, which is the intimacy that we seek. So those trust issues really get in the way and can cause a lot of loneliness, even inside a relationship that we're in. So for example, let's say that there was infidelity in a previous relationship that you had. That is very painful and it can cause long-term trust issues. So that one ends and you go into this next relationship that you want to feel different and you want to feel closely connected and meaningful, but you can't bring yourself to trust because of what happened. What we're dealing with is two different things, and I want to kind of tease them apart. So I'm going to give you a sort of different example because infidelity is just like one small thing in the grand scheme of reasons why we have trouble trusting other people. So in my 20s, I went out with friends to do karaoke. Now, I was a little insecure about my voice. I think that probably actually stems back to this one time in high school. I was in choir and we had this like a small group solo. 4 of us were supposed to sing harmonies and stuff at a performance with like the entire auditorium full, and I hadn't prepared for it and I messed up so bad and it really made me feel insecure. So I'm dealing with insecurity already. And we go out to karaoke and I'm sure there was liquid courage involved. So after a couple beers or whatever, I'm going to sing. I'm going to participate. And so yeah, I give it my all. And someone in our group afterwards says to me, "You have no business singing karaoke." And it was like, oh, that was such a painful thing to hear. And here's the different things that happened to me in that moment. One, it really hurt my feelings. This was somebody that I cared about, and it was a mean thing to say. Also, it made me validate what I already suspected, which is that my voice is terrible, right? I should have been insecure. I was correct to be insecure. I shouldn't be singing. And then this like more subtle, painful thing that often happens to me when I get hurt is that you're so stupid and foolish for even trying. Like, you should have known better. How could you just go give it your all and know that you shouldn't be doing it? So like all of that stuff just happens to me at the time. Then what I decide because of this experience is that I am not going to sing in public at all, like ever again. And for decades, I did not do karaoke again. And I would chalk it up to the mean comment. That's the original hurt, the thing that happened. And that's not my responsibility. That person said something that was mean, and it could be anything that happened to you. An exchange happened, an experience happened that was not okay, that was painful, that was disrespectful, that was rude, that was mean, that was abusive, whatever. The initial hurt is on the other person, but I picked that up and I ran with it. And I decided that my response to it was going to be to never sing again. So that part is actually on me. That's my responsibility. We mistakenly feel like if we just blame the other person, then the burden is all on them. But what we're doing is we're putting ourselves in a box. So we are actually limiting ourselves, even though it feels like by not taking any responsibility and blaming them that it's freeing, but it's not. It's a cage. So we can decide what our response is going to be to the initial thing that happened. That is on us. We can't necessarily go back and we definitely can't go back and change what happened. And I'm not making it okay, but at some point I realized by blaming that other person for like never singing again, I was limiting myself from experiencing a more expansive life. And that's the empowering part, is actually when we say, oh, I'm not responsible for what happened, but I am responsible for my response to it. And it's the same thing with infidelity. Like the breach in trust that has happened to you, whether it's, infidelity, sexually in a relationship, it could be like other kinds of betrayals or harms that have done. That was not okay, right? That initial comment that person made was mean, but our response to it going forward is on us. So when you're in a new relationship and you're feeling like, oh, I can't trust anybody ever again because this happened, you're limiting yourself in this new, now, present moment, and you won't be able to build that depth of intimacy that you're craving. So it comes down to owning that this is a new situation and I can trust again. My response to the original hurt can be different. I can take responsibility here for opening up my heart so I can be more vulnerable and so I can build this emotional connection that I want. And we don't usually think about it. We go through life and we don't really dig into it, and we're like, I've been burned, so yeah, obviously I don't trust, right? That's how I am the way I am. But that's just how I am is very limiting. And I want you to have really connected, meaningful, deep emotional intimacy in your relationships. And you got to decide that you're going to trust again based on what you now know in this present moment, not how you've been hurt before. Just a little bit of a different reframe. I'm not ever asking someone to take responsibility for the person who hurt them in the past, but we get to decide what our response is going to be. And another announcement too, I just started a Substack, and so I'm doing some writing over there. I'm planning to put up some videos and some resources. So come over to Substack and join me, be a part of my free community. I would love to see you there. Okay, I'll see you next time.